So what are the pitch perception theories? There is something called the telephone theory. There is something called the place theory, the periodicity theory, and the pattern recognition theory. So very simply, telephone theory says that ear is just a telephone. It's just a way of communicating the messages from the outside to the brain, and ear plays no part in it. Place theory says that the basilar membrane determines what sound you hear, and the brain interprets whatever the basilar membrane tells it. Periodicity theory says that the messages that are transferred from the cochlea to the brain contains all the information. The pattern recognition theory says that the brain searches for order amongst the incoming frequencies, and in the series when it comes, the brain assigns a pitch according to the fundamental that the series has. And if it doesn't have it, it assigns it, and we call it virtual. I personally think it's a combination of all of them. I may be wrong, but I think our brain interprets what the signals it's getting from the cochlea and also the basilar membrane and also the ear, right? Every single part of it processes data, and then our brain interprets it. The neurons have to fire from the basilar membrane at the exact same spot, and the brain has to interpret it. And what the ear training does, it is makes those critical bands smaller and smaller and smaller, so the brain is able to decipher very close neuron firings. That's what you're training your brain to do, to isolate if the neuron was fired here versus here. And now you're training your brain to suddenly, so just guys watch. So in a normal human, if any of these neurons fire between this part of the basilar membrane, the brain interprets it as one frequency. When you train your ears, or when you do ear training, you are reducing. So if the neuron fires here versus here, you can tell. Got it? Versus here. Like really good pitch people, they can tell the difference between these two pitches. Whereas normal humans are somewhere here, and people with ear training are somewhere here. Give or take. Make sense? So the more ear training you do, you're actually reducing your critical band. So it's both your ear and your brain and everything that you interpret.